Welcome back, everyone. Here today we're talking about one of the scariest places in the world. And it's not like other scary places because this place is still around and people are still getting hurt by it. This place is known for swallowing people alive and no one can escape. So what exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about a black hole or a big sinkhole? Well, not exactly. If you've ever been to a forest before, you know that there's no such thing as a safe forest. There's always some sort of danger waiting to jump out at you. It could be a bear, a mountain lion, poisonous plants, or poisonous mushrooms. But there's something even scarier than all of those things, and it's found in this one forest. The scariest thing in this forest is the trees themselves. How exactly are the trees dangerous? Well, when they fall over, if you've ever seen a tree fall down, then you know how much damage it can do. It can uproot entire sections of land. But if you get caught under a tree while it's falling, then you're in serious trouble. It can crush you completely, and there's nothing you can do about it. But what happens if you get caught under an entire forest? That's what happened in one Chinese village, but we don't know exactly why. So maybe it was a storm, maybe it was an earthquake, but whatever the reason was, this forest fell down, and now it's stuck in this valley. This is what makes this place so terrifying. You never know when it's gone. Happen again, and the next time it might take your life. The scariest part is that this isn't just some ancient story from hundreds of years ago. This happened just recently in 2019. A whole forest fell down and swallowed a bunch of people alive. How many people died? Well, nobody knows for sure. The official number is 43, but some say that the real number is way higher. At first, the locals didn't want to talk about what happened here. They were too scared. They didn't want the world to know about this horrible tragedy. But eventually someone broke the silence and told the world what happened here. It's become known as the sleeping demon. It only strikes every few decades, but when it does strike, it kills hundreds of people. It took down an entire village and wiped out half of the population. The scariest part is that we have no idea why this keeps happening. It seems like it would have been an earthquake, but earthquakes usually don't destroy forests. Sometimes they do, but in this case, it doesn't seem likely. The trees were still standing upright and the roots were in the ground. It looked like the forest was growing until it suddenly collapsed. Scientists came to investigate, but so far they haven't been able to come up with any answers. We have to remember that China is a huge country, and it's home to some of the most amazing natural wonders in the world. Of course, it's also home to some of the deadliest natural disasters in history. In recent years, China has dealt with massive floods, droughts, and earthquakes. But none of these disasters compared to the destruction caused by the sleeping demon. It's unknown when it first struck. There are rumors that it's been happening for centuries. Back in the 1950s, it reportedly took the lives of 80 villagers. Then it went silent for several decades until finally striking again in 2019, when the forest fell. It took out an entire village. The forest was so thick that not a single ray of sunlight could make it to the ground. As soon as the trees started falling, the villagers realized something terrible was happening. They ran for the hills, but it was too late. The trees crashed down around them and trapped them inside the forest. It wasn't just the trees that crushed people. It was also the dirt and rocks that the trees had been holding up for years. As soon as the trees were gone, the dirt and rocks came crashing down and buried people underneath. It's hard to imagine just how fast this must have happened. The only thing you would have heard is the sound of trees cracking and breaking, and then everything would go black. One second you'd be walking through the forest, and the next second you'd be buried underground. There was nowhere for people to hide. They couldn't run away, and there was no shelter around. To make things worse, it wasn't just a small part of the forest that fell down. It was the entire forest. A forest that covered an area the size of 180 American football fields. That's how big this disaster was. And yet somehow the locals survived. It took more than 2 months for rescuers to find anyone alive. After the forest fell, rescuers used helicopters to search the area. They were hoping to find survivors, but it didn't look good. All they kept finding were dead bodies. But after 2 months, they finally found 3 survivors. 2 of them were brothers who had been trapped for 76 days. Can you imagine being trapped under a mountain of dirt and trees for almost 3 months? These brothers managed to survive by eating corn and drinking rainwater. They managed to survive on nothing else. That's incredible. They also found another survivor, a 33-year-old woman who managed to survive for 63 days. She was trapped for longer than anyone else, and she managed to survive by drinking rainwater and eating wild berries. She was in bad shape when they found her, but she did make a full recovery. So it's a happy ending, kind of. But what about everyone else? What happened to their bodies? Well, the government tried to keep it quiet, but eventually word got out and the families started demanding answers. They wanted to know where their loved ones were and what happened to them. Eventually, the government admitted that 43 people died. They said that 75 others went missing, but the locals knew that those people were dead. The only reason the government didn't admit it was because they didn't want a mass funeral on their hands. The government tried to hush it up and give the families money to stay quiet, but the families weren't having it. They wanted justice for their loved ones, and they wanted to bury them properly. After the families kept protesting, the government agreed to hand over the bodies. They held a massive funeral for the victims, but that's when things got weird. When the workers started digging graves, they kept finding more bodies. They ended up finding a total of 157 bodies. Most of them were completely crushed, but some were still recognizable. Even though the government said that 43 people died, more than 3 times that amount had actually died. It's impossible to say how many people were in this forest when it fell. But it was definitely more than 43. When the dust settled, 36 people were left homeless. Their entire village was destroyed. They had nowhere to go and no way to support themselves. The government gave them some money and helped them build new homes. But can money really replace what they lost? Some of them had family members taken away. Others had their entire houses taken away. And now there are some mysterious caves in the area. Locals say that strange lights and sounds can be heard coming from the caves, and they don't want anything to do with them. No one dares go near the caves, and they don't want scientists investigating them either. They want to forget about this tragedy, but it looks like the caves will always remind them of what happened here. Some say that these caves are cursed, but we don't know for sure. We do know that the forest won't stay down forever. Eventually, more trees will grow in this forest, and it'll become dense once again. But we don't know when that'll happen. We have no idea when the sleeping demon will wake up again. So do you think you could survive in this forest? Would you be able to escape before the trees crushed you? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, then be sure to stay tuned. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.